The hosts never left. True Airbnb horror story. When you're desperate for peace, you don't read the fine print. You just book. I needed a break. A week off-grid. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere the chaos of my inbox couldn't reach me. Found it on Airbnb. A listing called The Hollow Cottage Peaceful, Private, Perfect. 5 stars, hundreds of glowing reviews, phrases like, felt like home and would never leave if I could. Looking back, I should have paid more attention to how they said it. It was about a 4-hour drive from Denver, deep into the hills, past the point where paved roads turned to gravel, past the last gas station where the cashier wouldn't meet my eyes. When I finally pulled up, the place looked picture perfect. Small 2-story house, wraparound porch, wind chimes tinkling in the breeze, like a Thomas Kincaid painting frozen in time. Check-in was self-service, the message said. Key under the mat. No need to meet the hosts. They were already gone. Another reason to love it. Inside, everything was cozy and curated, quilted furniture, fireplace ready with wood, walls lined with framed family photos, faces just blurry enough to feel familiar but indistinct. The kind of house that smelled like cinnamon and wood polish. Comforting. Safe. I unpacked. Set my phone to airplane mode. Told myself this would be the best week of my life. I didn't notice not right away the old analog security panel blinking red near the kitchen, or the slight creak upstairs, even when no one was moving, or the faint smell of something not quite wood smoke, lingering at the edge of the cinnamon. The first night passed easy. Wine, fireplace, a battered novel left on the coffee table titled Staying Put. I laughed at the title, almost poetic, but around 3:20 a.m. I woke up. No reason, just awake. The room was freezing. The fireplace, hours dead, should have left a lingering warmth, but the air was ice. And downstairs? I heard it. Soft, deliberate, footsteps, pacing. Shuffling, pausing, breathing. I lay frozen in bed, telling myself it was the house settling, telling myself it was animals on the porch, telling myself anything but the truth. Because the truth was, the steps sounded exactly like someone walking slowly through the living room, pausing, turning, and walking again. I stayed awake until sunrise. Didn't check, didn't move, just stared at the bedroom door, waiting for the knob to turn. When morning finally came, I crept downstairs. Everything looked normal. Front door locked, kitchen untouched, no footprints on the dusty floorboards, just me, just silence. Except, on the coffee table, where the novel had been, another book. Same leather cover, new title embossed in gold, Guests Who Stayed Too Long. I told myself it was nothing. Old houses groan, old wood shifts, old pipes breathe in the cold. I repeated it like a prayer all morning, pacing the porch, pretending I wasn't thinking about leaving. The place still looked perfect. Sunlight glinting off the whitewashed fence, the garden full of dead flowers still charming in their way, the hollow sound of the hills when the wind cut across them. But by evening, I noticed something new. Mounted in the corner of the living room where the fireplace cracked and whispered to itself was a small black box. A camera. Tiny. Old-fashioned. Not modern Wi-Fi. Hardwired. Lens dusty, barely blinking red. It pointed toward the couch, the coffee table, the books. I hadn't seen it before. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it hadn't been there. There was a control panel under it. Ancient keypad, single cracked screen, one button flashing, playback. Curiosity killed the cat. And I guess I didn't think about how sometimes you're not the cat, you're the mouse. I pressed playback. The screen blinked to life. Footage from the night before. Same couch, same dead fireplace, same cozy room. But there was someone sitting on the couch. Me. At least I thought it was. Same hoodie. Same posture. But I never sat there last night. I was upstairs. I stayed upstairs. Yet there I was, rocking slightly, back and forth, whispering something I couldn't hear. Then, from the edge of the frame, two figures appeared. Blurry, pale, moving strangely like the footage was missing frames. They stood behind the couch, watching me on screen. Silent, breathing, smiling, I scrubbed forward. Around 3:23 a.m., the figures leaned down, whispered something into my ear. The me on screen nodded, got up, and walked not upstairs but through the back door I knew was bolted shut, into the darkness. End of recording. Screen frozen on an empty living room. I stumbled back from the panel, breathing hard, sweat freezing on my skin. Checked the back door. Locked, dead bolted, just like I left it. But on the floor, scuff marks, bare footprints, leading from the living room to the back door and out. I packed my bag. Fast. Didn't even fold anything. Just shoved clothes, charger, wallet into my backpack and sprinted for the door. Jammed the key into the lock, twisted, pulled. Wouldn't open. Not stuck, not jammed, sealed, like it had never been meant to open from the inside. On the wall above the door, barely visible in the dying evening light, carved into the wood, were 5 words. Hosts must approve your exit. I backed away from the front door, heart hammering so hard it blurred the edges of my vision. The place didn't feel cozy anymore. It felt hollow, like it was breathing through the walls. Waiting. I needed a phone, a signal, anything. Airplane mode, I'd turned it on myself when I got here. I scrambled to switch it off. No bars, no signal, no Wi-Fi. Of course, the listing had promised perfect disconnection. I stumbled into the living room. The fire had gone out again, but I didn't dare relight it. Didn't want anything in this house to notice I was still moving. I scanned the bookshelves. Dusty knickknacks, brittle books, and tucked between 2 fake encyclopedias, a leather-bound ledger. No title. Just the feel of it in my hands made my skin crawl, like it remembered being touched too often. I opened it. Inside, neat handwritten pages, names, dates, check-in times, no checkouts. Marla Thomas checked in, June 17, 2019. Status, pending. Even Perry checked in, October 4, 2020. Status, observed. Kim Ng Yen checked in, January 21, 2021. Status, assimilated. Page after page. No one ever left, just new labels. Pending, observed, assimilated. I flipped toward the back. Fresh ink, smudged slightly as if still drying. My name. Checked in, May 2, 2025. Status, pending approval. And beneath it, space for updates. Small boxes marked behavior, compliance, integration. Waiting to be filled in. I slammed the book shut, backed away like it could bite. The fireplace crackled once loud, and in the ashes words formed, glowing briefly before fading. You're settling in nicely. I ran upstairs. Maybe a window, maybe a fire escape. Anything. But when I reached the top floor, the hallway wasn't right. It was longer than before. Much longer. Doors lined both sides. Each identical, each closed. Each with a brass plaque. I walked past them, heart hammering. Each plaque had a name. Not just random guests, the same ones from the ledger. I found mine near the end. The door was ajar. Inside, a perfect replica of my bedroom back home. Same posters, same bedspread. Even the crack in the wall where the drywall bowed. It wasn't a rental anymore. It wasn't a getaway. It was moving me in. I stumbled back from the door. My door. The one that mirrored every memory, every detail of home, perfectly wrong. Because it didn't feel welcoming. It felt hungry. Waiting for me to step inside. To stay. I turned to run back downstairs. But the hallway had changed again. Shorter. Narrower. The other doors were gone. Only mine remained. And at the very end, standing under a dim light, was a figure, not moving, just waiting. I froze, squinted. It was me. Same hoodie, same jeans, same tired eyes. Only the other me, smiled. Wide, empty, like he was happy to finally see me. He raised a hand, waved, slow, mechanical, and without sound, I heard the words, "We've been waiting for you." I turned and slammed the door shut behind me, heart racing, breath burning cold in my lungs. My room was already shifting, walls bleeding into wood paneling, the bed warping into something more antique, the posters curling, aging, fading into sepia photos of places I'd never been. The house wasn't just copying me, it was absorbing me, making me fit. I backed toward the window, yanked the latch, tried to push it open. Nothing. Sealed. Fused like part of the wall. Behind me, footsteps. Soft. Familiar. I turned. The other me stood by the fireplace, watching, smiling wider now. In his hand, a piece of paper. He lifted it toward the flames, and I saw it was my Airbnb booking confirmation. The original, the one that had brought me here. He dropped it into the fire. The paper flared, twisted, and dissolved into black smoke. And as it burned away, so did something inside me. A tether, a memory, a way out. I tried to scream. No sound. Tried to run. No strength. I stumbled backward onto the bed, and the second I touched it, I sank. The mattress pulled me down. The walls closed in. The ceiling folded like wet paper. I fought, clawed, but the house had already decided. I wasn't a guest anymore. I was inventory. As the world dimmed, the last thing I saw was the door creaking open, and a new guest stepping inside, suitcase in hand, smiling, naive, ready for their peaceful stay. The house feels different now, alive, purring with quiet satisfaction. Another one checked in. Another one added. The new guest's name was Daniel. I watched him through the dusty glass of the front window. Mid-30s, jeans, backpack over one shoulder, phone in the other hand, squinting at the check-in instructions, just like I had. He walked up the porch steps. The boards didn't creak for him. Not yet. That comes later. The door swung open before he could knock. On its own. Or maybe I opened it. He stepped inside, dropped his bag by the door, took a deep breath, smiled. The scent of cinnamon and polished wood filled the air. Comforting, welcoming, deceptive. Daniel wandered through the living room, marveling at the cozy furniture, the crackling fireplace, the bookshelves. Just like I did. He didn't notice the camera tucked above the mantel. Didn't notice the blinking red light. Didn't notice the security panel silently updating. Guest check. In Daniel L. Status. Observed. Later that night, when the fire died down and the house grew cold, Daniel noticed the control panel, just like I had. Curious. Drawn. He pressed playback. The footage started. First just static, then the living room. Empty. Then a figure appeared, sitting in the armchair by the fireplace. Someone he didn't recognize. Someone with tired eyes, a worn smile, a faded hoodie. Me. On screen, I stood slowly, turned to face the camera, and said clear, direct, welcoming, "We're so glad you made it. This house, it needs people like you. Stay a while. Stay forever." Daniel laughed nervously, paused the feed. But from the corner of the room, something shifted. A door that shouldn't have been there creaked open, and in the flickering shadows, I stepped out, no longer tired, no longer resisting, fully, completely, beautifully hollow. Daniel backed away, but there's nowhere to run once you're inside the house, nowhere to hide once the walls decide you belong. I smiled wider, held out the guestbook. A new page, a blank space, waiting for his name. Because the hosts never really leave. They just change. one guest at a time. The guest that never left. We just wanted a break. Nothing fancy, no crowds, no pressure. Just a few quiet days together, tucked away from the noise of jobs, family, and reality. So we booked it. An old cabin outside Asheville. Airbnb listing said, "Private getaway in the woods. Disconnect, reconnect." Photos were perfect. Fireplace, handmade quilts, big porch swing creaking in the breeze. It looked like somewhere you could breathe again. We arrived just after sunset. The driveway was long dirt and gravel crunching under the tires and lined with thick pine trees that blocked out everything but the gold-pink bruise of the evening sky. The cabin was exactly like the pictures. Better even. Lights already on inside, key under the mat. Personal note from the hosts. "Welcome, Logan Claire. So glad to have you here. Relax, unwind, stay as long as you need." The inside smelled like cedar and old books. Cozy. Homey. A little dusty, but in the charming way, like time moves slower here. We dropped our bags in the main bedroom, took a quick tour, kitchen fully stocked, fireplace ready to light, shelves lined with old novels and faded board games. In the living room, on the coffee table, was a guest book. Leather-bound, pages filled with notes from other travelers. We flipped through it while sipping wine, laughing at cheesy messages like, "Best weekend ever! Didn't want to leave. Already planning our next stay." Then Claire frowned, turned the page, pointed. There, written neatly near the middle of the book, "Logan Claire, November 2021, perfect stay. Feels like home." We both laughed it off. Coincidence, right? Same names. Common enough. Except the date, November 2021, was exactly 2 years ago, and the handwriting, it looked familiar. Almost like Claire's. Same way she curled her lowercase e's. I joked. "Maybe we time traveled." She didn't laugh, just closed the book a little too fast, eyes flickering toward the dark windows. We chalked it up to tiredness. Long drive, long week. Nothing weird about a weird coincidence. That night, we made a fire, cuddled on the couch, watched the flames dance. And for the first time in months, I thought maybe we really could leave everything else behind. Until around 2:00 a.m., when I woke up, and the bedroom door was open. It hadn't been when we went to bed, I was sure. Positive. I closed it myself. Checked it twice. I got up, crept into the hallway. The house was dead silent, except for the porch swing, creaking back and forth, even though there was no wind. I stared out the front window, and for just a second, I swear I saw someone sitting there. Someone who looked just like me. The next morning, I didn't mention what I saw, or thought I saw. Didn't want Claire worrying. Didn't want to admit how shaken I felt. We made coffee, sat on the porch swing, pretended everything was fine, but something was wrong. Subtle things at first. Tiny shifts. Claire's backpack, the one she dragged up the steps herself, wasn't by the door anymore. Gone. When I asked, she blinked like I'd spoken a different language. "I didn't bring one," she said. "I packed everything in your bag, remember?" But I didn't. And I knew she hadn't. I'd carried my own. And she had hers. I let it go. Tried to. We spent the day hiking nearby trails. Took photos, laughed. It was good. Real. Almost enough to make me forget. Until we got back to the cabin. And the photos we'd taken, gone from my phone. Wiped. As if they never existed. Instead, in my camera roll, there were new pictures. Ones I didn't remember taking. Of the porch, the swing, the guest book, pages flipping on their own. I asked Claire if she had any photos on hers. She looked confused. "We didn't take any today. We said we'd leave our phones at home, remember?" I didn't argue, just nodded, and sat quietly, while reality rethreaded itself around me. That night we made dinner. Spaghetti and garlic bread. Simple, familiar, comfort food. Afterward, Claire curled up on the couch with one of the battered books from the shelf. I wandered the house, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. In the hallway, I noticed the pictures on the walls. Old sepia photographs, Farmhouses, families, children playing by dried-up streams. I'd seen them before. But now, one of the photos showed me and Claire standing on the front porch, smiling. The photo was aged yellowed at the edges like it had been taken years ago. I touched the frame. Cold, real, permanent. I called out to Claire. She didn't answer. I found her asleep on the couch, book half fallen from her hand. The book wasn't a novel, it was the guest book. The page she'd fallen asleep on was new. Fresh ink. Not there yesterday. It read, Logan, Claire current guests. Permanent residence pending. Underneath, in shaky handwriting, once you're remembered, you never leave. I snapped the book shut, dragged Claire to bed, locked the bedroom door, wedged a chair under the handle. Didn't sleep. Just listened to the house breathing. Wood settling. Floorboards creaking. And somewhere deep in the walls, a second porch swing. Swaying. Creaking. Welcoming. The next morning, Claire was different. Not upset, not scared, just distant. Like her mind was somewhere I couldn't reach. At breakfast, she stared out the window the whole time. Didn't touch her food, didn't smile. When I tried to joke about the birds squabbling over breadcrumbs on the porch, she just blinked at me, as if she didn't know who I was. Claire? I asked. She smiled faintly. But not at me. Through me. Later, when I checked my phone again, her contact was gone. No texts, no call history, no photos with her in them. Just gaps where memories used to live. I opened the guest book again, our name's still there. But now mine was alone. Logan current guest. Permanent resident confirmed. No mention of Claire anymore. I tore through the cabin. Checked closets. Checked under beds. Checked the attic. Calling her name over and over. No answer, no footprints, no clothes, no trace. The swing outside still creaked, but the seat was empty, or maybe not. Maybe something unseen rocked it now, back and forth, like an invisible hand beckoning me closer. In the living room, the fireplace roared to life. No matches, no lighter, just flames, sudden and greedy, and in the fire, shapes moved. Faces, hands, flickering too fast to catch except one image lingered long enough to burn itself into my mind. Claire, standing inside the fire, smiling, mouthing two words I couldn't hear, but knew anyway. Stay here. I ran for the door, yanked it open. Outside, the woods were wrong. Trees closer than before, branches thick and tangled. No path, no way out. Just a wall of green, breathing, shifting, like a living thing. I turned back toward the porch, and there, pinned to the door with a rusty nail, was a new page torn from the guest book. My name, written neatly, next to it. Resident 231 confirmed. New guest arrival pending. I stumbled backward, and the air thickened. Heavy, sweet, choking. Through the haze, I saw a car bumping up the gravel road. A new guest. Someone else. Coming to disconnect. To unwind. To stay forever. And I was already forgotten. My voice wouldn't work. My hands wouldn't lift. All I could do was watch as the new car pulled up, doors slammed, laughter echoed, and the house smiled wider. The porch swing creaked, waiting. Keys to nowhere. I found the listing on an app I'd never seen before. Not Airbnb, not Vrbo. Something called StayStill. No reviews, no photos. Just a name. Desert Oasis. A home for wanderers. The description was vague. No address. Just coordinates. And one line. If you're tired of running, stop here. I don't know why I booked it. Maybe because I didn't have anywhere else to go. Maybe because the other motels along the highway all looked like crime scenes waiting to happen. Maybe because something in the back of my brain whispered, you won't find better. The instructions were simple. Drive west. Pick up the key from a red vending machine on Route 19. No front desk, no human contact. Perfect. The vending machine was real. Rust eating away the sides. The only working button labeled keys. I fed it. 5. Something clunked inside. A key dropped out, old brass, warm to the touch. Stamped with a tiny message, "Stay a while." The house was 5 miles down a dust-choked dirt road. No signs, no neighbors, just an old adobe ranch tucked between low hills and creosote bushes. The sun melting behind it like an egg yolk across the sky. I pulled up the drive, turned off the engine, listened to the silence. No crickets, no birds, no wind, just the sound of heat rising off the sand. The key fit perfectly in the front door. The lock clicked. The door swung open. The air inside was cool. Not conditioned cool, like a cave. Like the house had been waiting for me. Inside, simple rooms. A kitchen, a dusty living room, a staircase leading nowhere, just ending in a blank wall. No personal items, no family photos. Only one framed piece hanging above the fireplace. All roads lead home. I set my bag down, poured water from the tap, cold, clean, better than expected. Told myself, 2 nights, max. Enough to rest, enough to plan my next move. But that night, lying on the stiff mattress in the only bedroom, I heard it, somewhere behind the walls. Scraping, shuffling, a key turning in a lock that wasn't mine. I got up, checked every door, checked every window. All still locked, still sealed. But the scraping continued, soft and slow, patient. And when I passed the hallway mirror on the way back to bed, for just a second, the reflection wasn't mine. The next morning, I decided to leave. No coffee, no breakfast, no second thoughts. Just packed my bag, slammed the door behind me, and tossed the key onto the cracked front steps. I didn't even bother locking it. Didn't care. The car started fine. Graveled road dusted up behind me in thick brown clouds, mile after mile of scrub and dead air. I didn't check the map. Didn't need to. I just needed to find the highway, gas, civilization. But when I reached the main road, Route 19, something was wrong. I turned right, the sun rising sharp and blinding to my left. Kept driving. Nothing on the horizon but heat waves. No intersections. No signs. Just endless sand and dirt. And then I saw it. Up ahead. A red vending machine, rust flaked, buzzing faintly, the same one, same sticker peeling on the side. Same broken O in the word keys. I drove past it, heart pounding. Told myself it was a coincidence. An identical machine. Had to be. 5 minutes later, the dirt road appeared on my right. Without thinking, I turned. And the house. The same house. Standing there, waiting. Sun now higher, harsher. The front door ajar. I stopped the car, got out. No sound, no wind. The air so still it felt solid. I walked up to the porch. The key I had thrown away? Gone. But the door opened easily under my hand. Inside, everything was off. Not wrong, just different. Subtle. The couch was green instead of brown. The framed sign over the fireplace now read, "All roads end here." The staircase that led nowhere now had a second floor. A narrow hall stretching into darkness. My heart thudded against my ribs. I stumbled back outside. Got into the car. Drove again. Faster this time. Spinning gravel under my tires. Didn't care about the dents. Didn't care about the shocks bottoming out. Just wanted out. Same thing. 5 minutes. Red vending machine. Right turn. Same house. Only now the sky had darkened. Sun low and sickly orange like it was setting again. Even though it should have been noon, I screamed. Punched the steering wheel. Cursed until my voice cracked. Didn't matter. The world had shrunk to this loop. And the house? Closer. The porch light flickering on, the door swinging wider. Inviting. Demanding. This time, when I stepped back inside, there were photos on the walls. Photos of me. At the vending machine. Driving. Sleeping in the bed. Someone had been watching. Or something. And worst of all, on the kitchen counter sat the brass key I thought I left behind. New tag attached. Resident. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a little. The walls pulsed. The floorboards sighed under invisible weight. The pictures on the walls, the ones of me changed when I wasn't looking. One moment I was smiling. Next, my face was blurred. Then gone. As if the house was trying to erase me in layers. I tried barricading the front door with a chair, but by morning, the door swung open with a cheerful creak, inviting the desert heat in, inviting something else. The house wasn't static anymore. It shifted when I wasn't looking. Doors leading to new rooms, hallways longer or shorter. Once, I opened a door to the supposed bathroom and found a staircase spiraling down into blackness. Not even cold air floated up, just stillness. Dead, dense air like a tomb waiting to inhale me. The framed quote over the fireplace changed again. Now it read, "There's no place like home." But the words bled slightly at the edges, like ink floating on water. I decided to try one last time. Break the loop. Destroy the vending machine. If I couldn't escape, maybe I could break the link that kept pulling me back. I took a tire iron from the trunk, drove full speed toward the road, toward the machine. It stood there like a monument, buzzing faintly in the growing dusk. I swung hard. The glass cracked. The metal dented. Sparks sputtered. The key slot sparked once, coughing out a small white slip of paper. I picked it up without thinking. Smudged, typewritten words. "Thank you for checking in. Checkout pending." When I turned back toward the car, it wasn't there. The road behind me was gone, replaced by endless scrubland. No tracks, no sound, no sign of the way I'd come. Only the house, standing silently a few yards away, closer now, breathing with me, watching me, waiting. I ran, feet kicking up dry earth, stumbled through thorn bushes, dodged low branches, ran until my lungs ripped at the air. But every time I blinked, there it was, ahead of me, closer. Porch lights flickering, door swinging wider, the house moving without moving. Finally, broken, gasping, I stumbled back up the porch steps. I didn't touch the handle. The door swung open by itself. Inside, the living room was different again. There was a desk now. Old, heavy oak, with a book sitting atop it. Leather-bound, gold-embossed, titled simply, Residence. I flipped through it with shaking hands. Page after page of names, dates, photos. Men and women, some smiling, some crying, some blank-faced. And then I found the newest page. A blank photo frame, waiting. Underneath it, my name, already written, Logan Pierce status, pending integration. I dropped the book, ran for the door. But outside now, there was nothing. Just white, blank, featureless. A vacuum where the world used to be. And the house the only thing left towering behind me, smiling, waiting for me to stop running. I stood at the threshold. Behind me, nothing. No desert, no road, no stars. Just empty white space stretching in every direction. Ahead the house, solid, still breathing, still waiting. The air hummed around me, heavy, thick, like the world itself was holding its breath. I could stay outside forever, alone, empty. Or I could step inside. The porch creaked under my weight. The front door, already ajar, opened wider, welcoming. Inside, the house had changed again. The walls gleamed clean and polished. The pictures on the walls now showed smiling faces. Families. Children. All of them dressed like it was still 1972. The fireplace burned bright. The leather-bound residence book sat open on the desk. My page now completed. My photo had filled in. It was me, but different. Older, tired, resigned. And there, standing by the hearth, was a man. Middle-aged, hair graying at the temples. He wore the same dusty clothes I remembered seeing in the first few pages of the residence book. He smiled sadly, nodded once. "Lost, huh?" he said. His voice was dry, warm, tired. I didn't answer. just stared. "We all got tired," he said. "Tired of the running, tired of the noise. We all wanted to stop. We just didn't realize where the road ended." He stepped aside, revealing a chair near the fireplace. Old wood, worn cushions, the kind of chair that begged you to sit and never get up again. "It's easier if you stop fighting," he said. "Easier if you accept it. After all, you booked it. No one forced you." He was right. Deep down, I knew it. I wasn't chased here. I wasn't tricked. I was just tired. Tired enough to stop reading the fine print. Tired enough to press book now without thinking. Tired enough to trade freedom for a quiet death disguised as peace. The chair groaned softly as I sank into it. The fire was warm. Too warm. Sinking into my bones. The house exhaled. Satisfied. Settling. Claiming. In the corner of the room, the vending machine buzzed once. A new key clattered into the tray, ready for the next guest. And somewhere, far away, a traveler pulled over on a dusty highway. Opened a strange app they didn't remember downloading. Saw a listing. No reviews, no pictures, just coordinates. And the words,